What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys. In today's episode, we have a ton of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. Our first topic of the day, guys, is going to be about Gears of War and the community in general, and some things that I certainly wanted to touch up on because I have said in the past, guys, that Gears of War is not only a live, game in my personal opinion, it's just really the community itself that is actually at times holding the game back from its full potential. So let's kind of talk about that as Jippery McLeod, one of the Gears of War community members, tweeted out, "Gears of War isn't dead. Mexico City easily proves this. You know what isn't alive, though? Players in our community branding themselves and making an audience. Twitch numbers look bad because most in our community don't know what marketing and building a reputation is. So please send me another screenshot or 100 of Twitch or Mixer having no viewers. Isn't fully TC's fault for the bugs and issues in the game, although infuriating, but most of you truly don't know how to market yourselves and grow a fan base that would help with viewers." And guys, this is such a true statement. I can't stress it enough. It's been basically what I have been saying on the YouTube channel, is just that instead of creating content, instead of streaming more, it seems like so many in the community are complaining about the game and not really trying to build a brand around the game, or really a brand around themselves within the game, whether that's in content creation like on YouTube or on Twitch. And look, here's the thing, guys, is that I truly believe that if more people took the content creation and the stream side or streaming side of Gears of War seriously, like very seriously, I really think that this would be a thriving community similar to that of like Gears of War. I'm not saying that, Gears of War would be as big as, say, Fortnite or, League of Legends or some of these other brands. Even Call of Duty is obviously a massive stretch, right? Because Call of Duty is basically one of the biggest games in the entire world. I mean, best-selling game essentially every single year. But what Gears of War has is a passionate community and a passionate fan base. However, it's a fan base that complains more than it gives, credit to the developers, that being the coalition in this standpoint. Also, it's a community that I feel that there's so much untapped potential. Now, YouTube, there's always going to be potential on YouTube, in my opinion, but really where I think the potential is with Gears of War in particular is in the stream side. So people just aren't streaming the game that much, which gives so many of you out there, if you are a Gears of War fan or a content creator within the Gears of War community, you have got to be streaming, because there's not that many people streaming, which means that there's such a huge untapped market for you to have an opportunity to build a fan base through, Gears of War and streaming on Twitch. Not only is it going to help the game, it's going to help yourself. So why aren't you streaming? I think of guys like Domez, who has been grinding really hard on Gears of War, and he is actually starting to build a fan base. He's starting to build some momentum here. He, of course, has his frustrations with the game as well, but he just keeps grinding. And I think that that's kind of what needs to happen more. I think we need to have a lot more guys like Domez who are streaming consistently. I'm trying to do my part, guys, between Gears of War and Call of Duty. Those are basically the two games that I stream on Twitch. So I'm trying to do my part in trying to, continue streaming Gears of War content when I can, and then of course creating YouTube content when I can as well. But it's going to take a ton of people, guys. It's not just going to be 4 or 5 people that are going to help continue building the YouTube and the Twitch scene for Gears of War. We have to be responsible for building the scene out. Sure, the coalition needs to be responsible for helping build the esports side of things out by really, marketing properly and things of that nature. I think Gears 5 was marketed very well when it comes to just from a marketing standpoint, right? The game itself with Xbox Game Pass, the commercials and just everything, they did a fantastic job because it sold very well at first, got a lot of people to get Xbox Game Pass, myself included, and so it felt like one of the first big titles on the Xbox Game Pass. So I think that it sold well overall, but it just is such an untapped market. I've said this so many times. I feel that streaming, from a streamer's perspective, if you are specifically a streamer, and you love Gears 5 or just Gears of War in general, you should be streaming Gears of War. It is the most underappreciated, game on Twitch, in my opinion. It's unbelievable. At least the most underappreciated third-person shooter. And so, for how big the fan base is, the streams or the viewers on Twitch should be a lot higher. And I think a lot of it has to do with the pure amount of people that are streaming the game. There's not that many people streaming the game, guys. Whether we're talking Mixer or on Twitch, it's an untapped market. But I really do believe this. I believe that what Jippery McLeod is stating, that you got to make an audience, you don't know, and he's saying that people just don't know how to make an audience, that's very true. But I think really what it comes down to is just streaming a ton of hours. It's like if you want to get good at a game in particular. Let's just say you really want to get good at League of Legends. Well, what's it going to take to get really good at the game? It's called putting in hundreds upon hundreds of hours and playing thousands of games. Well, the same can be said with Gears of War. The same can be said with streaming. The same can be said with making YouTube videos. It's just making a lot of YouTube videos that are high quality content based around, say, for instance, Gears of War. Streaming a ton of hours of Gears of War. You're going to build a fan base over time, and you're going to be helping your game at the same time. So, guys, let's kind of calm down with the complaining of Gears 5, which is a game that I think is just it's so undervalued, right? It's so undervalued right now. If it was a stock, I would be buying so heavy right now because I believe that long term, I think Gears of War has got a lot of upside to it. And I think that the coalition, what they've built to this point with, of course, Ultimate Edition to Gears of War 4 into Gears 5, there's so much more I feel that they could tap into in this fan base, in this lore of the game. So I think it's just up to us though as a community to really continue making that and hopefully making it sustainable. I think that's the biggest thing, guys. But let me know what you guys all think in the comment section below. Are you guys going to start trying to do your part in the growth of Gears of War? And if you're not a streamer, if you're not a content creator, what can you do? Well, I'll tell you what you can do. You can support your favorite streamers. You can support content creators within the Gears of War scene because those things help motivate those content creators, help motivate those streamers to keep going. And guys, this is a team effort. We all have to be in this thing together. Me as a streamer and a content creator, I need to do my part in trying to help out, some of the other streamers and some of the other content creators and kind of giving them that motivation as well. So it's a team effort, guys. Let's do this thing. Let's continue building Gears of War and let's stop complaining about it. We got to give credit where credit's due. Sure, we can, of course, be upset and voice our frustrations with the developers when they do things that we don't like, but keep moving onwards, and good things will happen. Our next topic of the day is going to be about the Dead or Alive franchise, guys. Another fighting game and fighting franchise that I really enjoy, and there is a reasonably large-sized fan base for Dead or Alive, and we're going to talk about some of the things today as to what happened to this franchise. Not saying that it's a completely dead franchise, no pun intended, but at the same time, I don't really feel that we've ever kind of seen the true potential of Dead or Alive after Dead or Alive 2 came out, which I believe was probably the most popular Dead or Alive game. And it really, ever since, the series has been trying so hard to kind of get back to that and kind of bring that feel from the second game back into the more recent games, and it just really hasn't done that. And I think that along with some controversies in the franchise has kind of made it one of those franchises that is kind of on the lower tier list when it was on the higher end of fighting games in general. So let's kind of talk about what happened to Dead or Alive. And if we go onto the Wikipedia page for Dead or Alive, you're going to see that, of course, Dead or Alive is a fighting video game series produced by Tecmo and developed by Team Ninja, who, of course, guys, are very famous for making the Ninja Gaiden series, which is another series that you kind of wonder what happened to that. Well, as far as Dead or Alive is concerned, we have seen, of course, recent releases of the franchise and installments into this. It is primarily composed of fast-paced 3D fighting games that begun with the original Dead or Alive in 1996. So this is a game, guys, that's dating back to 96, which is crazy. A lot of these fighting games date back really far in the past, guys. It's just these fighting games, what's amazing about the fighting game genre is just the sustainability of it. I mean, it's just people come back to play these games over and over and over again, at least to try them out for a period of time. So now DOA is the creation of Tomonobu Itagaki, who has since left the company and is no longer working on the series, which continues without him. And so I think that that's always something that you got to kind of take into consideration when we talk about what happened to the franchise. When the creator of the franchise leaves the series altogether, some red flags can go up, and a lot of times that can be the case. Like, think about, let's just say, for example, you had Hideo Kojima, who obviously was, with the Metal Gear Solid series and ended up leaving after, making a number of titles, and all of a sudden now we get a new Metal Gear Solid game, and it's like expecting it to be what it was with Hideo Kojima, and we all know that's not the case with the recent installment, of course, of the Metal Gear Solid series. So I think that it's not all, obviously there is still going to be significant talent over at Team Ninja and such to helm this franchise, but at the same time, when your creator leaves, that can really draw some red flags. Now, Dead or Alive has been praised for its impressive fighting system, graphics, and interactive environments. In addition to its fast-paced countering-based play system, the franchise is also known for its female characters, which is absolutely true, and probably one of their biggest characteristics within the Dead or Alive franchise. This aspect of this series' popularity led to the creation of the spin-off game Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball and its sequels. And so this, guys, is kind of where the franchise started to get a little bit edgy. And a lot of people loved it, but the media and a lot of others didn't like it because it was kind of getting edgy. And sure, I believe that Dead or Alive certainly should be able to coexist within all the other fighting games that are out there. But I think that part of the downfall of Dead or Alive has really come with a lot of the apparel and things of that nature that the characters are wearing. And whether it's just or not, I think there's just like kind of a stigma nowadays that's going around it. And I know with the most recent installment, Dead or Alive 6, that this was something that rose a lot of controversy, and a lot of, the developers at Team Ninja, they had to kind of patch some things up, so to speak, in order to kind of release the game in certain, regions and such. So Obviously, guys, the history, there is nothing, I mean, this is a very impressive history, right? I mean, you look at Dead or Alive comes out in 96, and we have Dead or Alive 6, which of course came out here in 2019. And so obviously there's a lot of talk about what, the future holds in the future. Now, a canceled project was Dead or Alive Code Cronus. Now, I'm not sure exactly what this was, but if we read about it, it says Dead or Alive Code Cronus was the code name for a canceled video game that was in development by Team Ninja for the Xbox 360 during the mid-2000s. In a February 2005 interview, Team Ninja's Tomonobu Itagaki said that Code Chronos would be set prior to the original Dead or Alive and will relay the story of characters Ayane and Kasumi before the first tournament. Itagaki said it would not be a fighting game and instead act as a prequel to the series proper. And the game was supposed to be related to the part of the opening cinematic of Dead or Alive Ultimate that showed the child versions of Kasumi and Ayane. Earlier reports had implied the character of Helena would be more heavily involved. In 2008, Itagaki officially resigned from Tecmo, thus leaving the Dead or Alive franchise. In November 2010, Yusuke Hayashi, that new head of Team Ninja, confirmed in an interview that the project has been officially canceled. So I think that this would have been a very interesting thing had it ever gone through. I really do. I truly think, guys, that some of these fighting games, I'm not saying all of them, but having different types of games within these franchises that aren't necessarily all fighting, right? Whether we're talking like an RPG or, whatever. I think it's smart to do that because it helps build the legacy, the lore of Dead or Alive or whatever franchise it is you're talking about. When you start expanding upon it, I think that that's a really good thing for a franchise like Dead or Alive because it probably was, they were thinking, we want to change some things up or we want to kind of continue doing what we're doing with the fighting game genre, but we also want to move in other directions, test other, waters and just see, can we continue building out the IP? And obviously, when your creator leaves, like I said, there's a lot of red flags that go up with that. Now, the Dead or Alive games have been mostly well received. The fighting series have received positive reviews, with Dead or Alive 2 having the highest ratings out of the number games and Dead or Alive 5 having the lowest except its Plus version for the Vita. By July 2013, the Dead or Alive series has shipped 8.6 million copies worldwide, and as of July 2016, the series had sold 9.7 million copies worldwide. And obviously, that's that's a solid amount of copies without a doubt. What I will say though is that that's not even updated because obviously the newest game that came out in 2019, Dead or Alive 6, that's not even being put into consideration here. Now, as we'll see here, you can kind of look at, the different games as they've come out and you can kind of see the reviews that they got. Obviously, Dead or Alive 2 got the highest ratings, without a doubt, 91%. There was a couple that were close. Dead or Alive 5 got up there to like 86. But, obviously some of these expansions and things of that nature. And, even Dead or Alive Ultimate. That being said, though, guys, I think some of the things that really, what happened to Dead or Alive, I think that the biggest thing, to me at least, is the edgy content that they were putting into the game. The way that the characters were dressed was something that I actually liked. I really did. I thought it was different. It was unique to Dead or Alive, and I think that was something that was really cool about it. But there was a lot of people, which I understand, that just didn't like that. That, it was kind of one of those games that obviously some people didn't feel that their kids should be playing, or, similar to like Mortal Kombat, because of how gory and gruesome Mortal Kombat is. A lot of parents don't want their kids to play Mortal Kombat, especially from a young age. Dead or Alive has that same stigma. However, Mortal Kombat has been consistently evolving, and I think that it's got, it's just got such a strong fan base. It's up there, of course, with Street Fighter and, of course, Super Smash Brothers. But Dead or Alive, guys, could this be a game that makes a significant comeback in the future? I would say most likely not, simply because the creator of the franchise did leave, and I think there's a lot that they've got to do to really earn a lot of in order to get a lot of people to come, back to the franchise. And to be honest with you guys, when they toned down the way in which their characters looked as far as what the characters wore and such, I think it turned off a lot of the people who were actual fans of the franchise, because it was one way or another, Team Ninja, they were in a lose-lose situation. If they had those, scantily clad type of, edgy content within Dead or Alive, then there would be a lot of people who would not like that. But if they, clothe their characters way too much, then you're going to lose the real passionate fan base part of it, or a lot of those passionate fans. So it's kind of, one of those franchises that's in a very, very much so a dilemma, a self-identity crisis, so to speak, in Dead or Alive. But the story's not over yet. I'll be interested to see kind of what happens here in the near future, and I can't wait to share more information with you guys as more information comes out. So guys, our next topic is going to be about a massive YouTuber who's, well, massive at least to me, as far as, his subscriber count, how many views this guy has, and just really the success that he has had on YouTube, and kind of some of the things that happened to a guy named Boogie2988, which I'm sure most of you know who Boogie is at this point. This guy is a YouTuber that, of course, really got his start making some, hilarious videos by his, his character that he created known as Francis, and made some great videos. I think the first video I ever watched of Boogie's was, I forget what the title was, but he was playing as Francis, and Francis gets mad at the television and mad at his Xbox, and absolutely smashes his Xbox and his television and such, and just that's kind of how I got my start in it. But those videos went viral, were absolutely huge, and so that's really where Boogie2988 got his start on YouTube. At least that's kind of where I kind of jumped into the whole thing. But I want to talk about what happened to Boogie, because obviously over the course of the past few years, whether it's his viewership or just his fan base and his haters, of course, as well, there's been a lot of change that's happened in Boogie's life, but it's also that, I want to talk about kind of what happened and kind of where Boogie might be headed at this very point. So let's go ahead and let's talk about it. So as I said, guys, Boogie has 4.39 million subscribers, which is unfathomable to me, at least. As a content creator, that is such a huge number. It's incredible. And I know on multiple occasions Boogie has said that 4.39 million subscribers, I mean, it's it's good, but it's not that great. He's a very humble dude, at least in my opinion. And to say the least, this is a huge accomplishment, absolutely massive. We go to, of course, when he joined, so his stats, he joined April 5th of 2006. This guy was one of the OG of OGs on YouTube, amassing over 871 million views, guys. And obviously, his channel, as is pretty much with any channel, out on YouTube, it's evolved over time. If you go over to his Wikipedia page, you'll kind of see some basic information about Steven Williams, also known as Boogie2988. You can see some, of course, just different information about, obviously, a little bit about his personal life and things of that nature, kind of where he was born and all of that. We're not really going to get into that because you can kind of hear all that stuff. He's pretty open on his YouTube channel, so you can kind of watch those videos at some point. But what I want to talk about is the controversies. And so Boogie has been involved in several controversies, and this is just something, guys, that comes with the territory of being internet popular or internet famous. And that's just my personal opinion. It comes with the territory, right? There are always going to be controversies. We can talk about, Ninja tweets something out on Twitter, right? And everybody's going to be talking about it, whether that be positive or negative, because he's just that big of a personality and an internet celebrity to all of us. And so it's going to draw a mixed crowd. It just happens with anything. As the bigger you get as a figure on YouTube or on Twitch or just in the media in general, you are going to be under a microscope as to every little thing that you do. Now, Boogie, obviously, is one of those guys. He suffers from a number of, just mental illnesses, which I'm not going to really get into much here, but he has a hard time dealing with a bunch of scrutiny and people kind of bashing him for whether that be his content or just his personal life in general, saying that he's lying about his work and such, which we'll get into here in a moment, as the first controversy in October of 2018, which of course, guys, he's been involved in other controversies as well, but the more significant ones, that being Boogie faced scrutiny due to his relationship with the controversial counseling service BetterHelp. He and other YouTubers sponsored by the service were accused of profiting from mental illness, which led to Boogie publicly terminating his partnership with the company. So, look, guys, I've always said this about when it comes to anything at all, you always have to look at every story, anything that comes out revolving a controversy with a big YouTuber or Twitch streamer. You gotta take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt and make those judgments, based on your own personal take on it, right? So, instead of jumping to a conclusion as to because one person says that, they were profiting from mental illness, that means that that's definitely what happened. You have to kind of look at things, don't paint with a broad brush. Always look at these things and, kind of come to your own conclusions on them. And I'm not going to give you much of my own personal opinion on any one of these individual, controversies that Boogie was in, but I'm going to give you some reasoning as to why I really respect Boogie and I respect a lot of the content that he's put out there and shared, a lot of his personal life with us as an audience. And, it just really comes with the territory, a lot of this stuff, guys. But another one, obviously, October 18th, he was, of course, involved in a controversy. And then in February of 2019, Boogie joked that he would make a better team leader over another player due to their parents' divorce. And so he correlated it with anger issues during a live stream of the game Apex Legends, and then he became the subject of criticism following these comments. And then in April of 2019, Boogie admitted to potentially committing tax fraud. He stated that he purchases Magic the Gathering cards for his channel, writes them off as a business expense, and then resells them without claiming the income on his taxes. The IRS states that income above $400 from self-employment must be reported. So, look, it's a controversy, but another part of it is that Boogie admitted it, right? Now it's he admitted to potentially committing, tax fraud. So like I said, guys, don't paint with a broad brush at this point. Just kind of look at it for what it is. These are all very brief segments and snippets of kind of some of the things that he said and did. And I mean, people look at Boogie as, that he really wants others around him to, and really others as in us, as the audience, wants us to feel bad for all of his problems that he has. And what I'll say is this. Boogie's done a really good job of creating a fan base, creating a group of people that may have the same mental illnesses that he has. And guys, by the way, I truly believe that Boogie does suffer from these illnesses that he says he does, right? I just think that when you look at, his story, his life, right? Whether some of it may be fabricated or not, the facts are the facts that he was an individual that was eating himself to death. And you can see that based on videos and things of that nature to show that, he weighed he's even said how much he used to weigh and what he's trying to do. And you can kind of follow that storyline of his. And you look at that, and obviously he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy with himself. He's eating himself to death, essentially. And so when you look at someone that's like that, there's going to just naturally be problems. Whether we're talking with family or just internally, that being like, depression, bipolar disorder, the list can go on and on. You have to look at those things and really think to yourself, could this person be going through this, or is this all just something that's in there? Is it in their head? Is it something that they're just fabricating because they want people to feel bad for them? But I truly believe Boogie with a lot of this stuff. I really do. Now, some of it, he obviously has made some terrible decisions on social media. He lashes out at people and tries to defend himself when a lot of times I feel that you just need to be quiet on social media. There's times where you just don't say anything. He has a hard time with that, and it's gotten him in a lot of trouble. But what I will say is this, guys. Boogie has been consistently maturing, in my opinion, as a content creator, as a streamer. He seems to see what he's done wrong, right, and what he can do better moving forward. And there might be times where he's moving in the right direction and he takes a back step. And then he starts moving in the right direction, takes a back step, whether it's on social media or something of that nature. But guess what, guys? That happens to all of us. It's not just exclusive to Boogie2988. It happens to all of us, okay? We're all going to be making mistakes as we go through life, okay? Like, there's just going to be times where you're making strides forward, right? And then something happens that just gets to you. You get unmotivated for whatever reason, and something just really crawls under your skin, because every person has a tick, has a thing that really bothers them about themselves or about other people, whatever it might be. And you might end up taking a step backwards because you might say something that you regret saying on social media. Look, it's something that it's human nature, guys. As humans, we are perfectly imperfect beings, right, on Earth. And Boogie298, he's no exception. I'm no exception. And everyone else that you see, big or small, on YouTube, Twitch, we are people who, all of us are the same. We're all people, right? Now, obviously, the paths that we take are different. And Boogie has gone down this path where his channel has turned into from more of a comedy-based channel to a serious channel explaining the seriousness of mental health. And I think it's very good that there's a channel like that on YouTube where he can kind of express himself. But you want to know something, guys? I think it's disgraceful that people just get on Boogie so hard about the things that he says on his channel nowadays when he talks about mental health or talks about those things, because it's not that he's having a pity party, guys. It's that he's just trying to tell you and like how he feels as a person and how he's trying to get better as a person, and he's trying to motivate others to not make the same mistakes he did. And he's trying to motivate people that are maybe in similar situations as himself to get better with time, because it all takes time. And he created a vlog channel where he's vlogging, he's traveling more, and he's an open book. He really is. And sometimes that's to a fault, but I can't but respect a lot of what Boogie's done on YouTube. Myself, I don't really suffer from any type of mental illness. I know people close to me that do. I have anxiety. It's not significant, but I suffer from, anxiety. I just get anxious, right? You just are thinking about things at night and your heart's racing and stuff like that, right? So I can relate to some of this stuff. I think all of us can relate in one way or another. We shouldn't be tearing each other down, though, when we are stating how we feel on a platform as great as YouTube. It's called YouTube. It's something about you. It's your story, and Boogie's story has to do with these things. And even if he's fabricating, say, most of it, a lot of the advice he's giving is very good knowledge and very good things to have, whether you're trying to fight weight loss, or you're trying to, get more financially freed. You're trying to, get on some kind of exercise routine, or you're trying to become, better at a specific game. Those are all things, guys, that, we're all striving to get better in different aspects of our life. And I think that his channel should be able to coexist on YouTube and not get the kind of backlash that he gets from a lot of people, whether it's on Reddit, wherever it might be. Look, guys, we got to build each other up. That's really what I want to get to. At the bottom line is, because what happened to Boogie, he's not really uploading quite as much on his main YouTube channel. Still does, but he doesn't upload as much anymore. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact of the backlash that he gets anytime he uploads really anything that he's kind of talking about himself, or just kind of talking about how he feels as a person. You ever think that maybe it makes him, feel good to just sit in front of a camera and just talk? Maybe he doesn't like, it's just his way of kind of just explaining like what's going on in life. It might be his form of therapy, right? Like, he says he talks to a therapist, but maybe speaking to a camera is easier for him than speaking to a therapist. Who knows? And all we got to do is just kind of listen and look, be supportive of one another. We're all in this thing together. Look, guys, I hope if you take anything from this, mental health is very serious. It's very serious. You should not be bashing this man who suffers from mental health, okay? Now, of course, you can criticize when there is room for that, and when they do something, obviously, that's very controversial, but I gotta say that you just pump the brakes, all right? Let's build each other up. Let's not tear each other down. I think that's kind of like that's like a common rule, right? Like, we should just be building each other up. Let's do that. And I hope to see Boogie continue making, content, maybe evolve the channel, continue evolving it. I'm continuing trying to involve my channel. I think that we all have to do that as YouTubers, as people on this platform. We've got to be consistently evolving, figuring out what we did right, wrong, and what we can do better moving forward. But I even think that all of us, viewers, creators, whatever it might be, we got to look in the mirror and say what we can do right, wrong, and what we can do better moving forward. So guys, like I said, let's support one another, and let's keep growing and being positive and spreading a positive mentality to everyone around us. Our next topic of the day, guys, is going to be about Warzone, or Call of Duty, the Call of Duty Battle Royale. And I want to talk about, guys, why this game mode, this, Battle Royale within Call of Duty is a true game changer in my personal opinion. I really feel, guys, that Call of Duty Modern Warfare is really adding some incredible things to the game. I definitely want to talk about this because this is a game that's been heavily scrutinized for a number of reasons. Basically, from the very beginning of when, guys and different reviewers from IGN and other huge platforms started reviewing parts of the game, or were able to play a little bit of the campaign. They were saying it's very edgy and it's just not, they thought that the game needed to be toned down and things of that nature. And now here we are, after all this time, you have, in my opinion, the greatest, arguably the greatest Call of Duty campaign ever made in Call of Duty history with Modern Warfare. The multiplayer, of course, I think a lot of this is up for debate, guys, because obviously everyone's going to have their personal favorites. But I put here, as far as my top 3 favorite Call of Duties ever, we've got, of course, Black Ops 2 is number 1, Modern Warfare 2 is number 2, and number 3, I have a 2-way tie between Black Ops 4 and Modern Warfare. Guys, Modern Warfare is incredible. It's such a great step in the right direction. And I'll tell you why. Sure, there's a lot of things that need updated and all that stuff. But, I mean, may I remind everyone that back in Modern Warfare 2, Infinity Ward never patched a lot of different things. They never, nerfed, the noob tube. I mean, the noob tube was never patched, right? And we never really, we complained about it, but it was like, we got over it, right? Nowadays with social media, everyone's complaining about things. And that's kind of like the one thing about social media, that it's just, obviously it's nice that we can all kind of voice our opinions about things. But at the same time, it was so much easier back in the MW2 days, because we would, complain about stuff, but it wasn't... Infinity Ward just, they just let it be, and I'm glad that they did, because noob tubes are a part of COD. It's a part of Modern Warfare 2, and it's one of the greatest Call of Duties ever made. So with that being said, the Battle Royale in Call of Duty Modern Warfare is a game changer, in my opinion. An utter game changer. Here's why. Not only, guys, is Battle Royale, sure, Battle Royale is starting to kind of slowly but surely the numbers are going down gradually, whether we're talking about Fortnite, Apex Legends, Blackout, even Battlefield, Firestorm, and, there's just a number of Battle Royales, right? I think that what's happening now is the Battle Royale genre is starting to consistently evolve now. What I think that the Modern Warfare Battle Royale, what it brings to the table is the simple fact it really brings not only a massive map, but it also is just another way that you can connect in the Modern Warfare universe. And really, like the Call of Duty universe, to really say the least. And it's a realistic first-person shooter. Battle Royale, obviously. FPS, BR. Would they call it a first-person shooter BR or a first-person BR? I don't know. Doesn't matter. A first-person Battle Royale, which, to me, it's the most, realistic. Now, obviously, I know people will say PUBG, people will say, other games. Look, I don't even think there's even any comparison in my eyes. Warzone is, in my opinion, light years better than PUBG. I even thought Blackout was better. I had some issues with Blackout. Just the simple fact that it was really buggy for me when I would play with friends. When I played by myself, it was fine. But when I played with other people, it was always really buggy on me for some reason. And so I couldn't really get fully engaged in Blackout. But man, Warzone, because of how big the map is and because, just the objectives and just the replay value is so big on this game, in this game mode within Call of Duty, that I believe truly, guys, that this is a game changer for the first-person Battle Royale. I'm not saying that it's going to be bigger than Apex. I think it has a potential to be. I think it has a potential to be way bigger than Blackout ever was. I think that it's got potential to, I guess you could say, coexist with the other battle royales, without a doubt. Like, I think that it should be there. It should be because of how good it is. It's such a great addition to the battle royale genre, and I don't think there's any debate about it. It's absolutely awesome. It's great. And I'll say this. Modern Warfare is creating other things within the game that I think are incredible. The 2v2 gunfight tournaments, guys, that is so awesome. Sure, have we been waiting for those, waited a long time for the CDL playlist and such, or, league play? Yeah, waited a while for those things, but man, the tournament modes are so cool. They're competitive, they're intense, and that's what's so awesome about Modern Warfare. It's figuring out gradually now what it is. And you guys all know I've been on record. Those of you who don't, I'll remind you, or, say it for the first time and you'll hear for the first time, that Modern Warfare, I believe, is the game of, obviously, this year. And then Black Ops is the game that's going to get announced this year, and it'll come out this year. And we're going to have a Black Ops reboot and obviously the Modern Warfare reboot, and we're going to go back and forth between these two games. You're going to have Blackout, you're going to have Warzone. You're going to have both these games are going to be adding things to it. Do I believe that they're going to, make a Modern Warfare 4, not obviously in like 2021, and then a Black Ops 6 in 2022? I think, guys, what Activision realized is, and I might be wrong about this, they realized that, okay, let's just make these two games the two biggest sub-series within the overall franchise of Call of Duty. Let's make them absolutely epic. Let's go back and forth, update Blackout, update, the Warzone. And then we consistently add on to these games, whether that be new story in the campaign, new Spec Ops, new Zombies, new Blackout, or new Blackout, whatever. Characters, or adding new areas in the map consistently, having, league play and the CDL playlist and all of that, and keeping the pros on these two sub-series franchises for the foreseeable future. They just kind of go back and forth year to year. Now, I might be wrong. Maybe they will continue making, Modern Warfare 4 and then Black Ops 6 and then Modern Warfare 5 and then, Black Ops 7. They'll just keep on going back and forth. And that's something that very well could happen. But I think there was a reason why they made a soft reboot of Modern Warfare. And I believe a soft reboot of Black Ops, which we're going to have to wait for, but I believe that's kind of why they're doing that, is because they want these two to be, it's Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Call of Duty Black Ops. Those are the foundations of COD at its core, and they just want to make those games as good as they can. And they just keep adding seasons, and they keep on adding free content as well as payable content, and they can just, keep on doing that. Don't split the fan bases up. If you're splitting them up, you're splitting them between two incredible sub-series. You're either a Modern Warfare guy or a Black Ops guy, or you're both, which would be myself. I mean, I'm a Call of Duty guy in general, but I'm just saying, guys, that I believe Activision has a juggernaut of a franchise for the foreseeable future. They could keep making games, and I think that I think they're going into a great direction here, and I hope they continue doing that. The sky is the limit, in my opinion, when it comes to Call of Duty. Whether they decide to just do the soft reboots and then kind of go back and forth, or they continue onwards with Modern Warfare and Black Ops every other year. It would be interesting. But I do believe, guys, that Warzone's a game changer. I think that as a realistic first-person battle royale, I think it's the best one. It's the best one, and I think that Infinity Ward is making, doing leaps and bounds to make this a game that is for everyone. And it's just that good. It's that good of a game, guys. I mean, it is gradually, slowly but surely, climbing up the ranks of the greatest COD of all time. Think about it. First time we've ever had free DLC, guys. Free DLC. That's incredible. That's a beautiful thing, guys, when you think about it. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys think that I'm wrong? Because I'm sure you guys will let me know if I'm sure you guys will let me know. And if you do, let me know in the comment section below. I would love to have a real conversation about this. So Halo Infinite, guys, the next edition, the next sequel to the Halo franchise. And I gotta say, I'm really excited about it. Well, in this segment of the show, I want to talk about Halo Infinite and everything that we know so far about the game and all of that hype that's starting to build, because there's a lot of hype that really is starting to build at this point. And so I definitely want to talk about all that stuff here with you today. So in an article, guys, that was written by Sam Prell, Zoe Delhunty Light, and Alyssa Mercanti from Games Radar, Halo Infinite is the Xbox Series X title, has a new game engine, a pug voice actor, and more. It's 2020, and that means we're getting Halo Infinite on Xbox Series X this year. The sixth game in the Halo series is bringing back Master Chief and heading to the next-gen console, even though the game has been shrouded in mystery with no new trailers or footage debuting at any of 2019's major gaming shows. We do know some stuff about the latest installment in the Halo saga. Since Halo Infinite will be on Xbox Series X, it's natural that 343 Industries would look to harness the console's power. So it's no surprise that they developed a new game engine called Slipspace that will offer new and unique features for the title. We'll get into more details below, but it looks like Slipspace will allow 343 Industries to amend Halo Infinite after launch. This news comes straight from a January 30 dev diary called We Are 343 Industries. Despite 2019's departures from top developers, it looks 343 Industries is chugging along on Halo Infinite's production. The team may have lost creative director Tim Longo on August 19, 2019 and lead producer on the campaign Mary Olsen a few months later, but it doesn't seem like that's hindering the forward motion of the highly anticipated title. The Coalition's Rod Ferguson told Games Radar that Halo has it covered as the launch title for Scarlet when discussing the idea that Gears 5 could have been delayed for next gen. Seems like just about everyone in the industry is banking on Halo Infinite releasing in tandem with the newest Xbox. We know that the series is considered a spiritual reboot for the franchise, which is why Master Chief is returning. This will delight fans of earlier Halo games who have voiced some aggressive opinions about the franchise's shift away from the Chief formula. We also know that along with the unmistakable voice of Master Chief, there's a new voice actor joining the mix, Gyoza the Pug. So, guys, what I will say is this, is they got away from Master Chief and Halo 5 Guardians. I know why there was frustration there. I thought it was actually a decent game, and I thought the multiplayer was just, I actually really enjoyed it. I think what a lot of people want to go back to the classic Halo where there wasn't any sprinting and it was mainly about Master Chief. I get that, but I really think that having sprint, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't feel like Call of Duty. It doesn't feel like some of these other games. It still feels like Halo when they're sprinting. It just does. But it just doesn't feel realistic to the Halo universe if you can't sprint. That's why I would get so frustrated when playing the older games. What I will say is this, is that Master Chief is obviously the main focus of the Halo franchise. So you really got to stick around him, and they kind of got away from him. And I think now coming back with Halo Infinite, I'm very excited to see kind of what ends up happening here as far as, you know, us taking the helm of Master Chief again. I think that you almost can't go wrong with that. Now, we did say that, and a lot of people didn't like Halo 4. I had mixed feelings about it as well. But that being said, this could really be a soft reboot. And I will say this as well. 343, obviously, now they have one game under the belt. Now they're moving into Halo Infinite after Halo 5 Guardians. I think now they're kind of getting a rhythm down. And so now moving into Halo Infinite, I think they're going to knock this one out of the park. Similar to the Coalition, Ultimate Edition was okay for Gears of War. Then they moved into Gears of War 4, which was pretty good. It was like a really good step in the right direction. And I thought Gears 5 was a really good step in the right direction. And so now they're kind of rolling. So I think the same thing can be said for 343 Industries. So Microsoft has confirmed that not only is Halo Infinite an Xbox Series X launch title, but that both it and the console will be out holiday of 2020. It's clearer than ever that the game is a showcase for the next-gen Slipspace engine, which is probably why we're not seeing any actual gameplay just yet. You don't show off the future until you're absolutely ready. As GamesRare previously reported, Halo Infinite's engineering director David Berger says that the new Slipspace game engine was designed to allow the team to implement and introduce new ideas and gameplay features that were impossibilities during the game's early development. You have to make tools that allow you to make new features that maybe weren't thought about. You got to give the content creators room to ideate. Outside of that, multiplayer director Tom French adds that designers are more empowered themselves to actually tackle a problem and prototype something quicker and faster than we've ever been able to before. Franchise director Frank O'Connor speaks to what the new engine means for the Halo franchise, saying that 343 Industries had to create an engine that was more powerful for next generation development, but also more nimble so the creatives and engineers are able to work more easily and iterate faster. So this is really exciting, guys. A new engine, obviously, that can always present its own issues, and I'm sure Halo Infinite's going to have its issues, but this is all really good news, right? I think that overall, we're going to have, it should be pretty, I think we're going to be in a really good place. There's a voice actor even more important than Steve Downes, the voice of Master Chief, and his name is Gyoza. Gyoza is a pug who spent some time in 343 Industries' studio recording snarls and sniffles and grunts. Halo's official Instagram account even posted about him, writing, "Meet our favorite pug, Gyoza, the best friend of our studio's technical art director. His grunts, breeze, and excitement are sure to make for some interesting sounds in Halo Infinite." While we initially reported that it was unclear what alien Gyoza could be voicing and suggested it may be a new species after several consecutive listens, it certainly sounds like Gyoza could be portraying the Flood. The Flood are a species of incredibly virulent parasitic organisms that consume life forms in order, grow, and reproduce. Those Gyoza noises suddenly sound a lot less cute. The Flood, guys. The Flood is going to be, if this is true, and if the Flood is coming back, they're already like hitting the nail on the head as far as the things that we as a community want. Number one, we want Master Chief. We want the story to be centered around Master Chief. We don't want it to be focused around someone else and then this, try to say that it's going to be this big fight between Master Chief and other Spartans. And we all know that Master Chief is the ultimate Spartan, so he really wouldn't get beat, right? And ultimately, I think playing as Master Chief, having, kind of going back to those roots, so to speak, except for having sprint, of course, and also having the Flood and such. Oh, guys, let's go. Sign me up. According to an interview with IGN, 343 Industries head Bonnie Ross has confirmed that Halo Infinite is going to be a spiritual reboot for the entire Halo franchise. That's a seriously big statement. "We're kind of calling it a spiritual reboot," said Ross. "That's kind of how we talk about it." She added that the team has had great learning moments with Halo, the Master Chief Collection, Halo 4's multiplayer, and the Rec Packs free maps in Halo 5's multiplayer. "There has been a lot of introspective time to really reflect on what we have done as 343, said Ross. "Where we made mistakes? Where have we hit it right? What does Halo mean to all of us? The Halo Infinite reveal trailer we did is what Halo means to the studio. Maybe it took us 2 games to get there, and I think we've done good things and bad things. But what does Halo mean to us? It is about hope and wonder and heroism and humanity and community and bringing a community together. That's what trailer is. That's what that trailer is, and that's what we want to do. Hearing all these things are great, all fine and dandy. However, I hope this means that there's sprint in this game. Like, I hope that this doesn't mean that it's just, moving around very stationary. I just don't think that we should go back in that way. A spiritual reboot's great, but please have sprint, guys. I mean, am I the only one who wants sprint to come back? Obviously, guys, the Halo Infinite story will focus on Master Chief. There is absolutely no debate about that. The Halo Infinite box art might tease some story and gameplay elements. Sure, there might be a little, like, some hints here and there. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Halo Infinite will have microtransactions. A job listing posted this summer for a live design lead at Microsoft shows the company is looking to hire someone who will come up with ways to keep fans engaged with Halo Infinite for an extended period of time after its release. The description asks for someone who can work on social media engagement and in-game progression, and also includes this line: design and deliver a AAA player investment experience that focuses on our fans and their desire to express their passion for our franchise, including but not limited to microtransactions. However, Halo Community Director Brian Jarrett has previously answered fans' worries by saying not to worry over a job description, and that it doesn't mean it'll result in something bad. But that was over a year ago. So I'll say this again, guys. I've always said this about microtransactions because it was never something that really bothered me, because I just never really bought into the microtransactions. However, microtransactions, in my opinion, are they're fine as long as they're not deceptive practices to the consumer, and that it doesn't give you some kind of competitive advantage over your opponents. And it doesn't, obviously we want the game to be grindy, but I don't want someone to be able to pay to get to the top ranks and stuff. Like, I want them to be able to pay for just purely cosmetic things within the game. And I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. If that means like free DLC, if that means that we're going to get more Halo because, the money, a lot of that money those microtransactions are going towards the game. They're going towards the studio to continue bringing out content to help out the esports side of things. That money should be going towards the esports side. It should be going towards future DLC that is free. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with microtransactions overall, as long as those things, as I said, don't happen. So, Halo Infinite Battle Royale won't be a thing at launch, but you might be able to make your own. This is interesting. Despite rumors of a Halo Infinite Battle Royale mode floating around the internet, 343 Industries' own Frank O'Connor has said that there are no plans for the game to launch with a Battle Royale mode. However, he has suggested that players are more than welcome to create their own version of Halo plus Fortnite in the franchise's Forge mode. We will not talk about the launch content of Halo Infinite until we're ready. I haven't watched the video, so if I am misinterpreting the headline as Halo Infinite is launching as a Halo Battle Royale mode, that is still not the case. O'Connor said in response to a Brad Sams video posted in a Recetera thread. You can probably make your own Battle Royale mode in Forge even right now, though. The launch modes for multiplayer are not 100% defined and are subject to change till quite late in the process, but Battle Rifle will still be there, O'Connor said. But are we interested in big social modes with loads of organic shenanigans? Yes. Specifically, a blimp full of survivors heading to an island after a metaphorical lecture from Beat Takashi? No. So, a Battle Royale, I think, would be really cool, guys. I'm not going to lie. Especially with Forge mode. Imagine if you could, I mean, that would be incredible. I mean, I think Forge mode, that coming back would be unbelievable. Like, creating your own battle royale, imagine that, like your own servers and stuff. I mean, I can see so much content, so much stuff coming out from that. Overall, guys, this is all good stuff. This is all really good stuff, but we got to see it to believe it, because we were really excited about, like Halo 5, and we were excited about some of, these games. And I really haven't been that excited about Halo since Halo 3 when that came out. So I'm really hoping that this is a game which I'm starting to get a little bit excited about. I really am. I'm starting to, that hype is starting to come. And I'm sure a lot of you are getting excited as well. What do you guys think about all this? Because this is pretty much everything that we know overall about the game at this point. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let's have a real conversation about Halo Infinite. Our last topic of the show, guys, is going to be about two of what I believe are the fiercest competitors in all of Call of Duty. Now, guys, there's a lot of course, competitors in COD, right? I personally believe that Call of Duty is the home of some of the biggest personalities in all of esports, and I don't even think it's even close at this point. I mean, if you really think about it, you could argue Fortnite, but really Fortnite esports, it just really is. Fortnite really still an esport at this point? It's kind of hard to say. Obviously, if you were to compare those, you would say that the Fortnite guys obviously have blown up much more substantially than that of the Call of Duty guys. But at the same time, you look at really any other esport, traditional esport out there, Call of Duty content creators and pro players are much bigger, very good at marketing themselves. And two of those guys, who I believe are the fiercest competitors on COD, is Scumpy and Crimsix. C6 and Scump, the two fiercest competitors in Call of Duty, in my personal opinion, guys. And these guys got a lot of history. Obviously, they played together for a number of years. And they've also had a number of years where they've been on different teams. Had a lot of success. Crimsix, the winningest player at this point in Call of Duty history. Scumpy has, won, of course, his fair share of tournaments and championships. These two guys are on a mission. They're on a collision course, in my opinion, to an extent. The narratives were built, and that's why I absolutely love the CDL. I love what they've done with the CDL at this point. A league in which, I mean, we're talking, city-based teams where it's starting to really feel like sports. It's starting to feel like a sport. And everyone's picking their favorite team. And obviously, there's a lot of narratives here, because with Crimsix not being a part of the Huntsman and going to the Dallas Empire, and then the things that he said about it and how he's coming for the Huntsman and the Huntsman kind of trolling him back, and it's just been this back and forth ordeal. And obviously at this point, the Huntsman really overall have been dominant when it comes to the matchup between them and the Dallas Empire. The gap is closing. It's getting closer and closer every time that they play. But with that said, I think that this is a year where it's becoming a prove it year. Crimsix says that, he's coming. He's smelling blood, essentially, when it comes to the Huntsman and kind of the things that happened to him when he was in Optic, and then being pushed out of, being a part of the next team, the next iteration of Optic, which was, of course, the Huntsman. Prove it. Prove that you're that guy still, winningest COD player, in history. Prove that you're still that guy. And obviously, guys, look, when I look at what you got to win the big one. You don't, winning a weekend, winning a weekend home series means nothing. What does mean something is winning the championship at the end of the year. That's what means something, at least in my eyes. Now, some people say, oh, well, if we win all these tournaments, we don't win COD champs, at least we won all these other tournaments. No, the big one in Call of Duty was champs, okay? Now, obviously, the format's changed, but you better during the regular season, you better, obviously those games matter, but you better really be building up to the big one, which is at the end of the year. And that's what I think the Empire are doing. They are building towards the big one at the end. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish in Call of Duty, as it is with many sports, right? And so these two guys are on that collision course. Now, obviously, Atlanta FaZe is there, and there's other teams that are there too. There's teams that are trying to make some splash moves that are are trying to obviously that are getting better, right? Optic and other teams. Scumpy though is on another prove it year as well. Can he prove that he shouldn't be retired at this point? I think that he's playing very well this year, in my opinion. But he's got to prove that he is still that guy who can win a championship at the highest level. And he's got to prove that he's not just like that he's going to get carried by other people. Now, obviously, I think that he's kind of at a point in his career where he's going to get carried a little bit. And I think Crimsix, the same kind of thing, because they're just getting older. And the older you get, obviously your reaction time goes down and things of that nature. So those things are all natural things that end up happening. But it's a prove it year, man, for these two players in particular. Because I think one of the biggest narratives is Dallas Empire versus the Chicago Huntsmen. I really do believe that. Now, you're going to have to get past FaZe. We all know that being a daunting task for anyone. You're going to have to get past Optic. That's going to be tough. Getting past any of these teams can win on any given day. We've seen it. We've seen that happen. A team like the Paris Legion, everyone didn't think that they were going to be that good. They're pretty good. I mean, they have the potential to win. Why not? Look, it's going to come down to narratives, because I think the way in which this season ends, we might see Scump and Crimsix, or one of them, both of them, retire, potentially. We have to enjoy these moments, guys, that we've got these guys in the game still. They're both incredibly competitive. The fiercest competitors, in my opinion, Call of Duty. You could argue Clayster, Aches. You could argue some of these other guys, the up-and-comers. But these two have been consistent for so long, so good for so long. The narratives are built around these two teams. Who do you guys got? Do you got Scump or do you got Crimsix? Who do you have individually? Who do you have team-wise? Let me know what you guys think. I would love to have a real conversation about it because, man, the narratives are continuing to build as we go. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.